Right, that's enough of that. What's up, guys? How's it going? Let's see. Today we have the Red Sun Superman from the DC Multiverse McFarlane toy line, and I gotta say, this is something that I've been longing to get ever since I first introduced or talked about, because I always loved the sort of the what if stories of many of the characters, and I thought this was a very compelling story line in terms of the reimagining of Superman in his sort of alternate realities. So I had to get it, and considering that I'm also getting the sort of the original Superman from wave 1, I believe, this will complement that figure in every sense of the word. So what do we have here? We have, as usual in a McFarlane DC Multiverse, the figure in all its glory, in a nice big window that showcases the figure from head to toe. Not much in the way in terms of accessories. I believe it comes with sort of an alternate hand and a flight stand and a card. Nevertheless, you also have some side indication of who you're getting. It says Superman here, but essentially what you're getting is Superman Red Sun, and the sort of graphic from where the figure took inspiration from, and also other indications of the what you can get from the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. Here you go, there's another indication of Superman Red Sun and whatnot. So let's open this bad boy and see what we get as a figure and take it from there. Right, guys, so whenever it goes without saying, whenever you get a McFarlane figure, it's pretty standard stuff in terms of what they pack in. Essentially, when it comes to the, let's say, the backdrop, for instance, you have some nifty artwork that is pretty similar to most. I think Batman and Superman pretty much has that sort of same sort of design, I believe. Nevertheless, this comes actually with a flight stand, so that's pretty good, and of course the card. But as you know, from this kind of what they call figure, you would have to tear it off. You can put it back, but sometimes you tend to destroy it. It doesn't bother me that much because I never had any intentions to use this backdrop anyway, so that goes that's okay for me in any sense of the word. Let's try to take out some of this what do you call accessories and see what we get. But nevertheless, it is a fantastic inclusion by McFarlane in his toy line, especially for flying characters, because one thing I tend to notice is that whenever I buy Marvel Legends and whatnot, and if I want to you know, get let's say a flight stand, it always have to be from separate like third party and whatnot. And I mean, how much does a flight stand cost like that? It's simple. If you can attach it, and this figure is even cheaper than any Marvel Legends, so how hard can it be? Anyway, goes without saying, a decent flight stand that has the clamp that you can I suppose fit into his abdomen area here, or wherever, maybe his thigh and whatnot, depending on what position you want. It goes up and down, that's about it. I think it goes up and down, and you can attach it to the base, which is typically when you get a McFarlane base, you get the black one. In this case, it's a sort of a crystal clear one, where you just slot that flight stand. There you go, that's not going to come off, and you have a pack there, either if you want to put it in a sort of a standing position, or if you choose not to pose him in a sort of a flight position. So there you go, that's the flight stand. Now let's look at the camera, and like I said, it gives you the indication of where the figure takes its inspiration from, and in this case is the Superman Red Sun. For those of you who don't know much about the storyline, here you go, here's a read up of that. It says Superman Red Sun #1 comics way back in 2003, real name being Carl L, 6 feet 3 inches or 1.91 meters for those of you in this part of the world, 235 pounds, 107 kg. In an alternate reality, the rocket ship carrying the infant who would later be known as Superman landed in the midst of the 1950s Soviet Union rather than Smallville, Kansas. Raised on a collective farm, the last survivor of Krypton grew up and now uses his incredible superpowers as a hero to the Soviet people, fighting a never-ending battle for Stalin and changing the world drastically from what we know. So like I said, it's a very compelling story for what is essentially a character that is as you know, as American can be, and to have a sort of like a what if story you know, in sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, shall we say. I love it. I think they also did like an animation series of that, and it's a fantastic and compelling story. So it's a must read, I guess, for those of you who are DC fans. So let's keep that all aside. So let's see what we get as a figure. So let's unbox this right in front of your eyes. Let's cutty and do all the right stuff. I believe now this particular Superman is based off the original, the Wave 1 Superman, you know, the sort of the essential look one, in terms of the buck, with a little bit changes, especially on the head sculpt, and maybe like a shorter cape. So let's just try to take it out as gingerly as we can, because sometimes some of these figures, they tend to just shove this in right in front of, right inside. So let's just take it out as slowly as we can, and there you go. Like while talking, just taken out the hands. Anyways, let's take it out. Come on, there you go. And we have taken out the figure. Let's take out the alternate hands as well to show you what you get when you buy or purchase this figure. So in terms of alternate hands, he has sort of nice fisty hands here, as you can see. Let the camera focus, so that's good. Unfortunately, the other one is not a fisty hand. It's some sort of a holding hand of some sort. Why? I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if we buy some kind of third-party flagpole with the Soviet flag and whatnot, maybe that's the indication. I would have preferred two sort of fisty hands, so you know, to have that action pose. But nevertheless, what can you do? Anyway, let's look at the figure itself. And now in mine, as always, like I said, I always look for any paint flaws and whatnot in terms of quality control. And I have to say, in terms of the face sculpt, look at it, is very stoic. This man means business. I love this sort of embossed Soviet Union symbol instead of the classical S symbol, but the face sculpt itself is quite exquisite. The paint job, no flaws there whatsoever. Seems to be some sort of marking here, but that doesn't bother me that much. I mean, truth be told, not a lot of things bother me in terms of these figures. I have come to expect some flaws, and as long as it's not like over the top flaw, I'm okay with that. The cape seems a bit more shorter than what you get from the sort of the Wave 1 Superman, and of course the color is a bit more darker and muted as such. It doesn't pop as much, but I think obviously if you want a Soviet Superman, the thing that needs to pop is that symbol, and the chest symbol here does the job for me in every sense of the word. So everything checks out in terms of paint job and whatnot. I don't see anything that I can complain in any way, and he looks the part. He's as stoic as anything can get. Yeah, all the joints seems to be quite what do you call rigid, so I assume it's because it's relatively new, so you just have to play around with that to loosen it up a bit. Other than that, let's try to see what we get. So the hands that he comes with is just sort of this two, like a flight pose. Again, like I said, it will be nice if it comes with sort of two fisty hand and two flight hands, but okay, I can accept that. No issues. I was intending to pose him in a flight pose anyway, so this works. That works, yeah. I can live with that. So let's see some of the articulation that comes with this figure. I don't think I think if you own the original Superman figure, this is not gonna give you anything different. But so let's just see. So for typically figure that can fly, you want it to actually look up, and he does relatively well. He does look down reasonably well. If you know, like in a rooftop or something like that, he can look left, he can look right, and it is on a ball joint, so of course he can go all the way. Can he stretch his arm to the sides? And let's see, I'm always conscious of the fact that this is a relatively new figure, and you want to be as gingerly as possible when you move it, because what I don't want to do is break the joint. So he can stretch his arms to the sides by that much, and that's okay. That's more than 180 degrees, I suppose. And let's try to bring the Can you hear that? So that's still relatively new in terms of hinge and whatnot, so that's why it takes a bit longer. Let's see, to the front he goes by that much. I can see a bicep swivel, so that's pretty good. There's a little bit of indication of the butterfly joint, so that means he should be able to bring his arms a bit more closer to his body. And does he do that? Only by that much. I don't think he's able to clap in any way whatsoever. So there you go, no clapping for any Soviet music. Anyway, that being said, he also has a bicep swivel, only a single joint elbow. I think it's similar to the original Superman. He also has the hinge that allows the inward and outward, and you know, it's on a peg. Diaphragm wise, he has that cut there, you can see just about, and that allows a crunch by not that much. Yeah, and it also has a springy effect, so it tends to go back to its original position, and he can go or stretch backwards by that much. I suppose it's okay. He can do a swivel around the diaphragm area there, and is it a double? Yeah, it can do a swivel on the waist itself. Obviously the what you call McFarlane figure doesn't have a thigh cut, so no point looking at it, but his leg can be stretched by that much. Or the only thing is you have that ugly sort of hinge that you can actually look and be exposed, so that's not something that I'm happy about, but that it is what it is. He has a double jointed knee that allows a bend for quite a bit, so there you can see no shin or anything like that in terms of cut. His legs, his feet does go up and down, and there is a rocker, and he has two articulation. Like I said, everything is new, so try to bend it as gingerly as possible so that you don't break off any stuff. He can do the splits because of that hinge, you can see just about right there. And can he kick by he can kick by some amount, so that's pretty good. And of course the bag is hindered by his butt. So overall it's pretty standard fare. I think if you have the original Superman, you're not gonna really notice anything different. And I think the whole idea of buying this figure is for that well, this costume, isn't it? Because he is quite the looker, and someone that you do really want in your collection, especially if you've enjoyed that run in terms of Superman in his alternate reality mode. So that's what is probably the reason why you will go for this figure anyway. In that same mode, I would say you would probably go for the, what is that, the Wonder Woman with the whatever, the chainsaw or something like that. I don't know whether you can. So if you know, from my collection, I tend to go for the classical look for the figures first. So that's one collection that I have. This kind of figures that kind of is neither here nor there, in the alternate realm, shall we say, I would have to start thinking about a different shelf space. I think I would go for sort of the what if characters in a sort of a separate shelf space all on its own. So someone like this, someone like the Wonder Woman with the chainsaw, someone or the mohawk haircut, even that. Someone like a Batman. I'm sure there is a gazillion Batman in his alternate form that kind of fits into this the grand scheme of things. So that's where we stand. I think I've covered pretty much everything in terms of the figure. Like I said, nothing exceptionally new in terms of what you're getting from the figure, but if you're like me, if you're one of those that enjoy the sort of the what if stories and whatnot, I think this is a good buy. I love what they've done with Superman in terms of the storyline and whatnot. Is there any flaws to this figure? Like I said, I would have preferred, I've always maintained that I prefer two fisty hands and sort of two options of like say open hands, simply because that works for me in terms of how I would generally tend to pose him. So just having a one fisty hand doesn't work for me. I can see the reason why they will give you this sort of you know, like a grippy hand. Ideally, I think what they envision in mind is probably this Superman here holding a sort of a flag of the Soviet Union and whatnot. So that's probably the reason why they went for that. In the same sort of context where the original Superman, or the quintessential design Superman, is gonna hold like an American flag and whatnot. So there you go. Let's leave him in that sense as it is. Do I recommend it? Yeah, if you are a fan of the Red Sun comic book, the run of Superman, and you like me, you like the storyline that comes with the sort of this kind of alternate characters, why not? Is it a must-have? Probably not. I don't know in terms of the collection that they're going for, whether this one actually fits into like a mainstream collection. But as far as you want something different, I can see you actually having some interest in having this guy in some shape or form. I'm just trying to see whether the stand actually holds him decently, and yeah, I don't it's not the most perfect stand. I think it's a bit wobbly, but it will do the job if you don't mess with it too much. So there you go, let's end at that. So as always guys, if you like what you saw today, please feel free to like and subscribe. And if you are familiar with my channel, you know I will end the video with some poses, some cool poses of how you can display this particular whatever character that I review. And let's leave it at that. And as always guys, stay safe, and wherever you are, I bid you farewell and adios.
Here we go, making Billy on, getting icy zone, flexing, I've been sorbing, make it trendy, we look sexy. Here we go, making Billy on, getting icy zone, flexing,